Your definition of a professional musician might be limiting your success, your income, and your happiness. And I want to free you from that today. So in this video, I'm going to hit you with 4 jobs that you may not have thought of that are music related that will make you money, and 3 places that you probably hadn't thought of that you can make money as a musician. My name is Paul Gavin, and I've been making my entire living as a freelance musician for 3 years, 2 months, and 6 days, and I want to talk to you about expanding that definition of what it means to be a full-time freelance professional musician. I think often when we think of a professional musician, we think of someone who plays their main acts on a stage or at a club or at a festival, and that's really all they do, and that's what makes them a professional musician. I think that's a really narrow definition, and I want to liberate you of that definition. See, there's a lot of work out there that musicians are not taking advantage of, and I want to talk about that. We're getting practical today. See, that narrow definition is expensive too. I am confident that you, the person who is watching this video at this moment, probably has 2 or 3 skills that could be making you money as a musician that you're not using. You're leaving money on the table every single day. And this is especially important for someone who's in their last couple years of school or who's just graduated and is trying to figure out how to put an income together. It takes time to start making a solid living from nothing, essentially building your career from nothing. And so having these additional skills and making use of them is going to make it possible for you to fill the bank account while you get closer and closer to doing whatever your dream thing really is. Some people deal with that interim time by getting a 9 to 5. I think a 9 to 5 is probably going to end up being a distraction, pulling you away from what you actually want to do. So doing actual music stuff is going to keep you focused on what you want to do and make you money. So in this video, I'm going to hit you with 4 jobs that you may not have thought of that are music related that will make you money, and 3 places that you probably hadn't thought of that you can make money as a musician. First, interactive programming. One of the many things I do is I work for a company called Giving Tree Music. I hook a trailer full of drums up to my car and I drive it to all sorts of places where I do an interactive program called a drum circle with all sorts of people, from young kids to elders to seniors. And it's the coolest thing in the world.
Thank you. How do you do? How do you do? Oh, I'm gonna draw like this. Say you. Thank you. How do you do? How do you do?
It's a ton of fun, it pays well, and also it turns those daytime hours, the hours where you wouldn't be playing your instrument on a stage or at a club, it turns those hours into money-making hours, and that's a really big deal. So if you enjoy interacting with people, it might be time for you to put together some kind of a program that you can do with groups that'll get them making music with you instead of you playing your music at them. It's another way for you to make money. Also, every marching season, I arrange the percussion music for 3 schools in the Tampa Bay area. This is another example of something that pays well and also turns those daytime hours into money-making hours. And also, in Florida, the summer is a bit of a dead season for musicians, but it's not for me. This summer, I will make $5,000 just writing the percussion music for those 3 schools. $5,000. So if you're a composer or an arranger, I would suggest you start building relationships with schools. And don't just think marching band music, they're jazz bands, they're concert bands. You never know what kind of music they might need, and that is a way for you to make money in those day hours. Also, clinician work. You know, speaking of schools, a lot of schools like to have a clinician, a specialist, come in to work with, say, their brass or their percussion or their woodwinds or their jazz rhythm section or their jazz band as a whole. If you're qualified to do any of those, it's time for you to start sending some emails. See, this kind of thing snowballs too. As you develop a reputation as someone who can be trusted to work with a section and make them better, band directors, they talk, and they will tell other people about you and you will get more work. And by the way, when you come in and you do a good job as a clinician, students start wanting to take lessons, and that means you get more students, that means you're making more money. Also, one I'm sure you haven't thought of is doing copy work for other musicians and composers. One of my friends is the copyist for a major composer. Essentially what happens is she sends him the charts that she has written in sort of a shorthand, and then he puts it in a notation software and he creates the score for her and also creates the parts for her. So he saves her a bunch of time and then she pays him for that, is essentially what happens. There's some chord analysis involved, and also you need a really good working knowledge of the software that you would end up using. But if you know a software inside and out and you have a good idea of music theory, you should start thinking about finding a way to do some copy work for some people. And by the way, he did this by building a relationship with her when she came to our school as a clinician when we were in college together. So he did a good job while she was there, and now he's her copyist. That's building a connection. That's how you make these kinds of things work. I did a video on that called How to Get Gigs as a Local Musician. It'll be up above, so you can check that out if you want to. Now, I've gone through jobs, but there's also places that you probably have not thought of where you can be doing your thing and making money doing it. I mentioned Giving Tree Music earlier. What I've learned working with them are there are a lot of places that I have not thought of where I could be doing music and making money. Have you thought of senior centers? They have programming all year to keep their residents engaged and entertained and interacting and doing physical activity, that kind of thing. At Giving Tree Music, we adapt our programming to make it fit for seniors, and we do drum circles with the old folks, and it's awesome. It's a good time. We love it, they love doing it, it's great, and we leave making money. Again, this is about money, that's what we're talking about. This is a way to do that. So if you were to put together an interactive program and start booking it at senior centers, that's another way for you to start making money. And senior centers schedule during the day too, so again, it turns those day hours into money-making hours. Similarly, summer camps, they have a budget, they need to keep these kids entertained and busy and doing stuff, and so they have a budget where they bring in entertainers and acts and people that have interactive programs to do things with the kids. So if you put together an interactive program adapted for young kids, adapted for elementary kids, adapted for middle school age kids, if you can do those adaptations and put them together and start booking, that's making money. And lastly, after school programs also do programming with their kids. So if you put together an interactive program and it can work with an after school program, bam, you're making money. Now, these are just a few examples to consider, but I know there are plenty more out there. I think the sky is the limit as far as this goes. Everyone needs music in their lives, and if you have something that you can bring, if you've organized, if you've created, put together something that you can turn into a package that you can sell, that you can book, then the sky's the limit. You can be making bank. Have you opened your mind up a little bit? I think expanding this definition that we have of a professional musician, a full-time musician, a freelance musician, I think expanding that definition is a way to certainly increase your income, increase your happiness, increase your security and your calmness in your career, and give you a good buffer for getting you closer and closer to what you really, really, really want to be doing, which is probably on a stage, in a club, at a festival, doing your thing, playing your acts. Well, while you're building up that career, you can be making your money doing these things too. Well, that's me, but what about you? How are you making your money as a musician? Are you using some talents that maybe we haven't thought of and maybe doing them in different places than we have thought of? Please share it down below and make this community something that can grow and we can learn from each other that way. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Paul. It is very nice to meet you. I do videos like this where I talk about different aspects of being a freelance musician. I also do vlogs that show what it's like to be a professional musician, and I also do educational resources to help educators better teach their jazz drummers how to play the drums. If any of that is something that's useful to you, I would love for you to subscribe. I could be making videos that feature defeatism about how hard it is to be a musician in this world, but I think that we have enough of that negativity. What I want you and I to do instead is lock arms, lift each other up, and rise together. I will see you in the next video. See you.